We are live. Hello, everybody. I'm trying to multitask. Trying to
Hi,
go
you
live on
are.
Instagram. This is a new thing that you can go live on Instagram as well. But now it's letting me. Okay, there we go. Okay, now I'm going to close Instagram because I don't want to get an echo. Okay, here we are.
Here we are.
Hi.
Hi.
So, for those of you who do not know my beautiful friend Paris Latka, I want to introduce you to her. She is somebody that I'm going to give you a long, luxurious introduction. um, so, I think it was 10 years ago. She was living, or she moved to Boulder from Hawaii, and she was looking for somebody, or somebody had told her, "Oh, you have to connect with Heather Nichols to run bars, access consciousness bars," and which is an energetic, hands on the head modality that just totally relaxes your brain and deletes a lot of stuff from your world. Anyway, so she sought me out. We connected. We ran bars together one time, and then off we went and stayed friends on Facebook, and fast forward, just stayed connected, and then started to connect more recently. And then I started seeing these videos of her doing some really cool movement, and my body was like, what is that? I had been asking to actually teach movement again, because I did for a long time. And I had been asking, but I wasn't sure what it was going to look like. But I was like, I'm ready to facilitate movement again. And I had also been asking for different realities with my body, basically, that included movement. And I knew when I saw her doing what she was doing, I was like, that's different. And my body was like, please go do that. And so I sought her out, and she is a bowspring teacher facilitator, which is an amazing movement practice that we're going to talk about today. Also a kinetics practitioner, which is also a really phenomenal form of body work, both of which really work with the fascia and so many other things. She does all kinds of, like, everything you do, I'm like, I want some of that, like the liquid collagen and the PEMF mat and like all these amazing things. So anyway, Paris, I adore you. Thank you for the gift that you are.
Awesome, Heather. It's such an honor to be chatting with you through all of our conversations, and especially here now on this network, streaming to a lot of live people. They're alive, and just sharing this. I feel like it's the Good News Network. The Good News Network is broadcasting. We're here to broadcast this really incredible message of what's possible.
Yeah, totally. And you and I both, like, I think for you was quite a while ago. For me, has been actually kind of recent, where I was having a lot of pain in my body. And I was like, that was part of what really turned up my ass for something different.
Mm-hmm.
And I really am at a place. I started doing Bowspring with you online. We did it one in person, because we're both in Colorado, but we're not really super close. But she gave me a kinetic session, and we did Bowspring, and I started to really tap into this whole world of fascia, which is like a big conversation, because I do a lot of work with fascia too, in other ways, with SE, energetic synthesis of structural embodiment, body work. So there's all kinds of, we could go a million places with fascia, right? But really, but started to do Bowspring really regularly with you, and also with Desi Springer, who developed it. And my body, like in the past, I committed to doing 100 days of it. I told you this. That was, I don't know, maybe a month ago. Every day, no matter what. Midnight, haven't done it today, going to bed, going to do some Bowspring before I go to bed, because I'm committed to this. And I'm starting to feel so freaking strong. My body is so different. It's changing shape. It's intrinsically incredible. Like, it is reshaping my whole body, changing my whole life. And I know you have a similar story.
Yeah. the reshaping is possible.
Yeah. You want to like share a little bit, because you were in a lot of pain as well.
Yeah, I found bowspring 7 years ago. And what sought my desire for something different than the modern postural yoga that I had been practicing for 7 years and I was teaching full time, what inspired me to look in different places for help is that I was living in Boulder, the yoga capital of the West, and in a lot of neck pain and lower back pain. And I'm, you know, I was just in pain and I couldn't believe that I would go to yoga therapists and the pain would subside a little bit, but then it would come back sometimes even like meaner. And so that's where I was physically. And then also physically, I was experiencing, I was just like my body had met a plateau. It didn't matter how many hot yoga classes I went to, like I just couldn't budge this kind of bigger shape that I was in. I was inflamed. I was probably like 15, 20 pounds heavier than I am now, and nothing would budge it. And so I went to my first bowspring class. I was invited by a friend of mine. And actually, Desi is the woman who I got my first teacher training from in like vinyasa. And so 7 years earlier. And I went to my first bowspring class and I was like, what the F is going on? Oh my God. Like, it was so different. And it really bumped up hard into many beliefs that I had about how it is that I could move my body, because I was so deeply ingrained in the programming of modern postural yoga. And I was really emotionally triggered because it was inviting me to do all of the things that I had labeled as wrong or bad. And so I was emotionally triggered. I was physically triggered because I was at that time going to about 5 yoga classes a week, and and I thought I was pretty strong, and it showed me all of my weak places unabashedly. It just showed it just pointed them out. It wasn't beating around the bush. And I was like, this is hard. And I'm so grateful that I know myself well enough. If I am that triggered by something, I'm like, what is that? What does this have to show me? So I went back a couple of times. I met the trigger, and then I couldn't deny how freaking good I felt after the class. And it was a different sort of goodness. I just felt so much more lighthearted, so much more lifted inside of my body and my attitude, that it kept me coming back. So the pain that I experienced went into it with, it didn't metabolize and eliminate right away, but it took me through a stepping stone journey to lead me on the path of like, this could really help me. This could really, really help me. And I would say about 6 weeks of practicing pretty consistently, the pain was 75% gone. And I had stepped back from teaching all of the yoga classes. I pulled back from practicing yoga, and I was like, this is it. This is my jam here. This is going to take me to the next thing. This is the thing taking me to the next thing. So it wasn't an immediate love affair. It wasn't like, oh my God. And some people have that and some people don't. And I definitely wasn't, but I'm so grateful that I stuck with it, because now that love affair is strong. Strong.
Yeah. For me too, totally. Yeah, I often describe bowspring as wonderfully awkward. Like it really is so awkward, and especially when you've been, because I have a big history in yoga and all the things, facilitating movement, teaching yoga, and actually had recently started doing a lot of Pilates, and that was like, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's like, I feel like I'm getting stronger from the Pilates. But it was never like it always just like it didn't have. And when I started doing bowspring, I also was like, this is really freaking awkward. But I actually love that. Like, I love getting awkward.
You're so good at it too. Like you ride that wave well.
Yeah, it's kind of like if I'm not uncomfortable and awkward, I'm a little bored, so
Yeah.
um so to me it's not actually awkward or uncomfortable. It's like on the creative edge of what else is possible kind of thing. And so and because the thing about Bowspring is that it's a postural alignment system. It's so many things. It works with the fascia, which is this like incredible connective tissue that is thin and strong and wraps everything in our body, our nerves, our bones, like our organs, our muscles, like everything is wrapped with fascia. And so like there's we get these adhesions in our fascia that like pull and tug on and really kind of are the source for where a lot of the pain on a physical level. There's all kinds of conversation we could have about the energetic source of pain, and but as far as on the physical level, and fascia is very energetic too. It like tugs on, when it gets like tight, if I do this to my shirt, it's like this part of my shirt is going to be tugged, and there's this adhesion there that's just, and so you can rub the muscle, but you gotta let go of the adhesion, and facilitate this opening. And Bowspring does that by actually engaging the whole body, creating this uniform tone in our entire body, which is so cool. And it opens and opens and opens. So everything is open in all directions. And there is a learning curve with it for sure, because you're like, okay, I got to keep my like sits bone out and my knee in and my pad of my foot and then my elbow. And then, you're like, there's a lot going on, but it starts to become this like new way of being with your body that is just so cool and really translates into everything.
Everything, because we go everywhere in our bodies so far. I mean, maybe not everywhere, but I think that it's so healing because it is an invitation to inhabit our bodies every square inch. There is a cue for everything.
Yeah.
And it's like a directionality. And so it's this embodiment that we learn how to expand from the inside and open from the inside while not disengaging the tone. So it's really beautiful that it's an equal parts push, equal parts pull, equal parts open, equal parts integration. And it recruits the fascia because you can't not recruit the fascia. Fascia is the most abundant tissue in our bodies. It definitely is the seat of our consciousness, and it's everywhere. So it's learning how, and it's the consistency of it in a healthy state is really strong. It's resilient. It's bouncy. And it flows. Think of like Jello, right? Like it's Jello, or gelatin is a really great representative of it. Because if gelatin gets at the bottom of your blender, if you've been mixing drinks, like it's really hard. It's really tough stuff. But like, yeah, I'll tell you about some of the hot drinks that I make with gelatin at another time because they're delicious. But it really offers the body this energetic, it's holding, it's an embracing us, so our nervous system can relax and it can expand and feel safe, because we just love it when we feel held, while simultaneously opening ourselves and our cells, quite literally. It's a really beautiful practice of tuning into the symphony and the harmony of our body, all equal parts showing up to the degree that they were designed to.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Usually we visit exercise modalities or we do fitness programs, and it's one muscle group that's isolated. Okay, we're doing biceps today or hamstrings, and that is cool. I think that can only take us to a certain degree of embodiment. And it is that learning curve because we're used to isolating things from the body, looking at things as independently from the rest of the interconnection of the body. And so it's this learning curve of being like, oh, wait, I'm supposed to do this while I'm doing this. And oh, this, and whoa, oh my God, I've never experienced that. And wait, and so sometimes for beginners, and I'm sure that you've experienced this, and this is part of maybe your wonderfully awkward relationship with it, of it's like, rub your belly, pat your head. You want me to say the ABCs backwards? Like, not literally, but that's what it can sometimes feel like. And what is also really cool about that kind of experience is that your mind is so present inside of your body. You're not thinking about the breakup that you just went through or dinner, right? Like it has a gift of bringing us into such presence because of these different actions that we're taking. And I think that is an element to why it is that people feel so uplifted while doing it and after it, because it's like, yeah, we just like brought the mind into the body for this length of time. And that's really beautiful.
Yeah. Well, our body has the work that I've done in the past too and now also it's like our body has this incredible actually capacity to override our mind. Like our body, like when we are present with our bodies, like our minds do turn off. And there's a lot of ways that you can do that. And this is one of them. And it's like, I love that because the mind is not, I mean, from my perspective, the work that I do, like the mind is not very useful. It really is something that really gets in our way, for the most part. And so when we can turn it off and be more present as a being, be more present energetically, be more present in our bodies and with the world around us, it's like, you don't really have to think because you can function from awareness, you can function from presence, consciousness, and so I love that, like, and the cool thing is the practice of Bowspring, totally, I don't think when I'm doing it, because there's so many things that I'm tending to in my body. And then it translates off the mat as well. Like my whole, when I finish doing a Bowspring practice, and it could even be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like it doesn't even have to be long. I literally have this feeling of like every molecule and cell in my body is having a party and like super alive. It's just like, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I love to distinguish mind because I think brain is part of the mind but the mind lives inside of our body, inside of our fascia and our networks of neurons. And so I like to distinguish because I actually feel like this is turning the mind on in a new level connected to our bodies. So usually my gosh, so many of us have been programmed to believe that the brain is separate from the body, first of all, and that it's this, and so so that's the way we've been operating, is from like this idea that the brain is separate from the body. And so what I think is really fantastic about like what is in the land of what is possible is like how to be able to utilize this practice to actually strengthen focus, which I definitely need more practice at focus. I think we all, because we create with focus, and then turn on the part of the mind that has felt disconnected from our body and open that to have a deeper conversation and a sweet dance with the body. I feel like it's the violin and the piano coming together with the symphony. And it's like, oh, and then we're thinking, and operating so much more intuitively. And like we feel the magnetism of somebody else in our field and we just gravitate towards them because we know that there's like this attraction. Like that's what it means to like be opening my mind in a way. But then it's not just the chatter belief system. Oh, belief system, insert belief system. That's limiting. You can't do that. You know, it's like it's breathing past that, hearing that voice if it comes in, loving it, not deciding from it, but like opening into the magnetism of the mind, of the body, and feeling the co-creation of it all.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's a semantics thing.
Yeah, I think so too.
I would say awareness, like what you're describing is awareness, you know? And that to me, like functioning from, living from awareness, that's what I choose. Because then I have access to, I am connected to the earth. I'm connected to my body. I'm connected to other people in a way that is actually generative and creative. And I can create my business in a greater way. Like there's just so many pieces there that are ways that this translates, you know? And I think that one of the reasons why I think Bowspring can be really awkward for people is because it is so opening. And we're used to closing our bodies down, like, you know, and a big pattern that most people have is the whole like computer, phone, you know, close the front while you hyperextend the back, you know, and we really bring the back online in this incredible way in this practice that allows everything to be strong and open. Like it opens the front and the back in a strong way, you know? And so it's like reshaping our postural patterns. And when you hold your body in that open way, you are different in the world and with the world. You know, it completely translates to how we show up in our lives, you know, because if you're like this, a certain energy, right, whether you're like grumpy or pathetic or, you know, and when you're like this, you know, that's a different energy too, you know, and so, and we feel it, the world feels it. And we train the world to respond to us, you know, with how we show up and all of that. So there's so many.
I mean, especially with your particular audience of people who have been on the consciousness path and who are continuing to explore what is possible with our creations. It's like if you just think about a person walking into the room and it's like, you know, just hyperextended knees and front ribs dropping, but no awareness of this. And there's a certain energy that comes off of them, as you had just named, but this is the posture that we take when we're sad and depressed and when we're in grief. We need to close, we need to protect, we need to draw our energy inward, and it's so wise. It's unfortunate that we're just getting stuck there, like in the C curve. It's really, 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 really unfortunate. And we wonder why back pain is the leading cause of a lot of grievances for people, is like back pain, neck pain. But what I find to be so fascinating, especially having conversations in this consciousness community, is that when we're doing this, we're literally and we might feel really good though. We might feel like, yeah, I'm on fire, my business is great, but we're like in this, like, you know, and that might be true for you, but I think that we can bump it up like 16 more notches when we lift the ribs, because there's this neurochemical feedback loop that happens in our bodies whenever we're in this posture of sadness. We're communicating to ourselves sadness because that's the natural posture that we take when we're sad and depressed.
Yeah.
Same with this one, right? Like I just won, and yeah. And so it's like, those are the chemicals that we begin to circulate and generate more of when we're feeling like this in our internal lab here. And that's what it is that we're circulating and emphasizing. And I always find it like like so interesting and fascinating when people are meditating or like connecting with the divine, and we're like this. And we're like, it's shutting us down from actually experiencing. And you might even think that you're connected in this, which you are, absolutely. But I think that we can really heighten and expand that connection if we were to position the body in its natural expression of joy while like feeding that, nourishing our connection to the divine.
Yes.
So cool.
Like we could just talk and talk and talk. This Facebook Live was just born out of a conversation. We just, got on the phone one morning and we're chatting about some stuff, and it was just like, oh, and then and just
there is so much. I think one of the coolest aspects of it, but there's like 10,082 cool aspects of it. Okay, one of the I think most amazing though is that we're informing, you come to class to inform your future moments, not only energetically, but actually physiologically and physically. So what you learn in class, you're invited to apply throughout your day. So really checking in with how you're standing, sitting, walking, like bending over to pick something up. And you can really plug into this powerful, effervescent alignment to support all of these physical activities, not only keeping your physical health really well and vitality flowing, but also like keeping the emotional heart open in our brain. And so it's this practice of how to wake up inside of the mundane, the chop wood, carry water, doing chores, and bring a blink of consciousness there and being like, oh, I'm going to use this as a moment to wake up. And I'm demonstrating that awakening through this posture and this alignment and applying it. And it's really not only located to the physical body when we do that, something spiritually opens for us. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, truly. And the fascia, like if we look even just specifically, like the fascia is very connected to the nervous system and the lymph system. And I mean, there's so many, to me, I'm like, this working with the fascia is such a incredible way to heal so many aspects and change so many things and up level and upgrade so many aspects of our bodies and our lives. It's amazing to me. It's fascinating.
It is so fascinating. It's so fascinating. I would even say that like fascia is life. Fascia's life.
Yeah.
Life. It's so cool how it is that when we really hydrate our fascia, and one of the main ways to do that is movement.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of feels it when they wake up in the morning and they're like, oh, I'm kind of stiff because we haven't been moving through the night as we hopefully are getting some really deep restorative sleep. But then when we start bringing movement into our body, we're like, oh, wow, yeah, I feel tight. And then what do we do? Very intuitively, we move. And that clears like what this thing called fascia fuzz. And animals do it almost every time that they get up from being on the ground and sleeping. They get up and they stretch and they move and they're like, okay, cool. That's one of the most amazing ways to hydrate our fascia. And fascia is our life force. It's so cool.
So cool. Yeah. So I actually have done I have a bunch of podcasts that I did like 2 or 3 maybe earlier. I started a new podcast this year called The Entrepreneurial Biome. Nurturing the ecosystem of business, body, and living. So really looking at the interplay of all these pieces. Mm-hmm. I did a couple podcasts specifically about the fascia and different aspects of, because it's such a deep and wide conversation. Like there's so many ways we can approach it, like the kinetics work, the SE work, like there's just so many different pieces to it, So anybody that's fascinated, you can explore it more in so many ways. But you have So I am starting to teach Bowspring in-person stuff. So most of it is occurring for me when I go to Access Consciousness classes. That's, a big part of the work that I do. So I am at bigger classes that are, put on by the company. And then I also have my own classes. And oftentimes, lunchtime or whatever, I'll offer some Bowspring play for people. So I've got that going. I'm going to be doing kind of like a festivities in Mexico in March, the beginning of March, a 3-day body class, definitely Bowspring, and then a new class that I've created called Your Body as Your Business Partner, which will be launching in the new year. So lots of fun ways to play, and with that, where I'll be bringing the Bowspring experience in live. And Paris has a universe of online stuff. So, and I know you're starting something in January too. So tell us about that.
Yeah, I do have a few online offerings, and the program beginning in January is called Awaken Your Curves. And it's really this beautiful opportunity to come home to the power and the vitality that naturally lives in our body that we've just forgotten about, that we've just neglected because we didn't know there was something to tend to. So it's for anybody who is curious about this phenomenal movement practice. Anybody who's experiencing pain in their body is welcome to this very therapeutic program. And I have, if you're, before people invest, if they want to check it out, I have a YouTube channel with several beginner classes on it that you can just feel into. And this is just some of the most rewarding work that I've ever done. It's so incredibly heart expanding, and it's like if we were to, and it's also just inviting people into a deeper trust with themselves of like having their own back. Like when we awaken our back body, it literally is like, I've got me and I trust me. And it's not only just I have me, it's like believing that a larger power, the universal loving consciousness is supporting us and waking us up from the backside and gently propelling us forward into our aligned, divine, meaningful purpose that we are meant to really show up inside of. So it's just electrifying. I'm in love with it. And I'll also be I definitely welcome people to hop on my mailing list, because I send out a lot of emails a few emails a month, inviting people into different moves. I do movement challenges. There's just a wealth of goods that I've created in 2023 and even more in 2024. I'm so excited.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So lots of possibilities out there. Also just a shout out to the amazing Desi Springer and John Friend who create this work, and their website is bowspring.com. There's a lot of really cool stuff on there. Desi kicks my ass on a regular basis.
Good. And anytime, that you feel inspired to talk about how this was born, it's so phenomenal. But even actually interviewing her would be best.
Yeah.
Because it's quite a story of creation, of where the ashes came, the phoenix rose, and it's very inspiring.
That's cool. I actually am going to have her on my podcast. I've been meaning to ask her about that. So I'm getting an ass kicking tomorrow. So I'll ask her. Yeah, great. So thanks everybody for being here. If this was inspiring to you, check it out. Like if your body's like, yes, then listen, we make life really easy when we listen to our bodies. Like it just, everything gets greater. Even if it seems strange or challenging or whatever, everything gets greater when we listen to our bodies. I guess we'll post some. What's your website? Can you just say it? Because there's so many places to post. I don't even know where.
Yeah, intelligentmovementlab.com.
Okay, cool. Intelligentmovementlab.com. And then what else was I going to say? Oh, share, share the love. If you think somebody
Yeah.
would benefit from this, share the love.
I recommend also checking out my Instagram page. I post a lot of movement videos, and it is really interesting because the number one feedback that I get about my movement videos is people sending me a message is I don't know what you're doing, but I can feel that my body wants it. What are you doing? Oh my God, I just want to do this. How do I do this? So you might feel like if listening didn't spark you to the degree that you were hoping to be sparked, then viewing and observing can also be super supportive. And
Yeah.
you're also developing a waistline, right? For as a long time, you never had a waist.
Yes.
But
I've
you're
always been like this. I mean, I'm small, but I've always been very up and down. And I was always kind of like, well, it's just because my hips are narrow, but there's this whole reality that happens when we elongate the fascia everywhere, but like in the middle of the body, like our waist, actually, the only bones in our middle is our spine. So between our rib cage and our pelvis, there's no bones other than our spine. And so you can elongate the fascia there and rearrange it. And what happens is when you elongate it, it gets curvy.
Hello.
You have this like hourglass that's starting to show up there on the sides. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So literally watching my body change shape, become a lot more curvy, and the feeling of that, like it's fun to have it show up visually, but it's really like the feeling of it. Like I wasn't able to ice skate for a long time. I had to take a break from skating, which is like a huge love of mine, because I was in so much pain. And I have come to skating again in the past couple weeks. And I'm running again and skating again. And I have, not only is the pain gone, but there's a sense of strength and like depth of strength that I've actually never had before. In places where I always felt like, God, I had babies, my belly's probably going to always be a little weak, No, there's a strength in my belly that's occurring with a corresponding length, to name one of many, many, many places I'm like, wow, I always knew this was possible. I just didn't know how to get there.
Yeah.
And now it's developing, and it's real. I'm like, it's just the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just the beginning. There's so much more for all of us. It's quite cool.
Yeah. So thanks, everybody. Thank you, Paris. What a fun chat, and have fun with your bodies today. Whatever you do, go have
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah.